Welcome to the special drum talk. Today we're going to do the making of a drum cover, and this is the song I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. Now, this is the first time I'm playing the song, ever. I downloaded the drumless track off of YouTube, and I'm basically going to give it my first pass. Now, I've heard the song on Pandora Radio. I like to listen to a station called Michael Bublé, and this comes up periodically, and sometimes my wife and I will be just listening to this song through that radio station. But this is really going to be an opportunity for you to see my process. So without having listened to it or scoped it out, I'm just playing. It's a real happy, fun, jammy song. And in that jamminess of the song, I really get to play whatever I want to play. And that's what I'm going to do on this track, just kind of play what I wouldn't ever play. Now, my first approach to any song is to find the simplest groove and stay with it. 1 and 3 on the kick drum and a backbeat. This has got kind of like a little swingy thing going on. And one of the thoughts about this song that I had in my brain was, let's use some modern stacks on the cymbals. Let's throw in, just tasteful kind of licks, but using these stacks. So that was my concept. So on this song, this is my first time around, and I'm trying to find the right sounds for the stacks. And also just laying a nice simple pocket. Now, if you listen to the song, that first part really probably doesn't have drums. Okay, and that's pretty much what I thought, but a drum cover without drums in the beginning is pretty boring for you guys, so I thought I'm going to put a little groove in here somewhere. And the final version, I came up with something with the stacks, but that first pass, I didn't. Now, what you'll see in this first pass is a lot of ideas that will eventually end up in all the different takes, in different ways. Not all of them, but a lot of them. One of the things that comes up, even in the first pass, is filling up these little holes. And in filling up the holes, I try to do simple things like the off the toms and one hits. They kind of work. Now, I found this spot right here, and I knew that it rim click, kind of thing was cool, but also playing on the rims would be cool. But I committed to the hi-hat. So in the first pass, I did kind of more of a pure kind of reggae kind of thing. I didn't stay with this piece, but I changed it up and put it more on the rims of the toms in the second take. Now, I'm learning where the holes are. That's the next thing I'm doing. And by the last take, I dropped the stick too. That's kind of funny. By the last take, I leave that hole open because that's what really needs to happen there. There's nothing there. It's a vocal thing. The key to playing any kind of drum cover is playing music. I always try to think musically. But we drummers have a tendency in drum covers to overplay them a little bit just because we know other drummers are watching this. Very rarely you got keyboard players watching them. But I've been surprised. Every once in a while a keyboard player or a guitar player will watch one of my takes. So, I learned this on the first take. I kept this. Of course, I had to figure out where it ended. Here's my banter. Now that's a fun song. That was fun. I don't know why that camera light's on. I still don't know. All right, so here I realized that my iPad camera is actually recording in slow motion, which is absolutely useless for syncing up. So I had one camera on this. This was shot with 2 cameras, iPad and an iPhone. The reason I'm shooting with iPad and iPhone, not my DSLR lately, with a song like this, it took me about 6 takes to figure it out. And the 6th take is the one we used. And believe it or not, I can just leave it on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and get away with it. The DSLR gives me 11 minutes. So here's going to be take 2. Finally fixed the cameras. And I'm going to sit down here, and we're going to grab a little listen to take 2. Alright, so my second approach, more reggae, not backbeat. Kick on the 2 and the 4. Kind of a traditional kind of reggae-ish kind of thing. I really went reggae on this one. I think this is the only take I really went heavy reggae on. I kind of knew that this song really didn't call for the heavy reggae thing, but it had it implied in that upbeat guitar thing. I like playing reggae once in a while. I don't think I could do it all the time, but it's definitely something I have a vocabulary there, I'll say that. And I think as a drummer you have to develop vocabulary. And reggae vocabulary is one of the things I developed a little bit, listening to a lot of Police, and then eventually listening to Bob Marley and the Wailers and Steel Pulse and some of the other reggae bands to kind of develop the vocabulary. But I am by far not a reggae drummer. Alright, so I'm starting to open it up a little bit here. And this is the first time I introduced the rim in this part of the groove. Didn't make it to the final take, but I'm seeing there's some really cool opportunities here. That was a little funky little lick I pulled in there too. Way overplayed. A lot of times what I'm looking for is that lick that's going to be not feel overplayed. That was kind of an overplayed lick. I think that made it into the final one. I did one of those triplety gaddish kind of licks. Kind of shoved it in somewhere. The fun part of this track is they recorded it with a click, so it was extremely solid. So I didn't have a click on this one. I wasn't playing to a click. I didn't lock it to a click. I sometimes do that, but because of that, I had the ability to kind of float in a very solid time track. Yeah, that was a little way overplayed, but it really was cool from a drummer perspective. Doing that little long roll on the snare drum and the rim. That didn't make the final take either. Again, still not leaving enough space here and trying to figure out what to put here. Eventually it just becomes nothing, to be honest.
This is our fate. I'm yours.
That's an interesting fill at the end of that. I didn't think about it. Still couldn't get the ending right. I really didn't get the ending right till the last time.
That one's probably not it, but...
Alright, this is take 3 now. Went back to the backbeat. And I said, nope, that's not going to work. Let's go back to the reggae. And this is one of the reasons why this take didn't happen.
Well, you done me and you bet I felt it.
I'm still finding myself. 3 takes in, I'm still figuring it out. Figuring out the roadmap of the song. That's the big key here. Once you know the roadmap where you want to go, then you go with things and you do things, you know. Now I will say, when you're recording multi-track in a studio situation without a camera, you can get away with saying, I really like this verse, but I didn't like that verse, and keep the second verse and toss the third, verse. Then go with the fourth verse. And you can just kind of make a track. And I've done that enough times, so I know all about that. The one thing about drum covers on YouTube is I try to be honest and play the whole take. I mean, there's ways to cut these things, and the more I get into Final Cut, the more I realize that. But that's not where I want to go. I want to be honest with you guys and play it all the way through. So my final version of this is the final version. I didn't take from any of these takes. But one of the things I saw was most of my takes were right in the ballpark. I mean, I could have got away with this take if I wanted to. But I really want to make sure that what I do put out is the best I can put out, and this wasn't quite there yet. Trying to go to the rims here didn't really work. Kind of figured that out fast. I think what it really needs is a straight cut. So much, the vocal is such a big part of this song. You can't bury the vocal.
I've been spending way too long checking my tongue in the mirror and bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath fogged up the glass, and so I drew a new face and I laughed. I guess what I'll be saying is there ain't
a little bit too much there,
but rid yourself of vanities and just go with the seasons. It's
implied reggae again.
To do. Our name is our virtue, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours.
I kind of like that little fill there. That's one of my favorite ones that I played, actually. Just kind of simple. Now, the funny thing is, when I listen to like a great drummer play a great track, like a Carly Simon Anticipation, for one, I just did that. It's the simple fills that make the songs. It really is. And guys like Rick Moratta played that kind of stuff. Jeff Porcaro played those kinds of things. They just heard the simple. But it was a simple in the right place with the right just inflection made it work.
I'm just playing. This is actually a jam.
All right, here comes take 4. Still trying to find stuff to hit, I guess. Off the hi-hat stand. That's an old jazz thing, by the way. Jazz players used to always play off the hi-hat stand, make that clicky sound.
Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate.
I don't know why, but I really felt that coming in with the backbeat here before the bass came in was just kind of what it needed. After I did all the little clicky stuff, you know. Too simple, Phil, unfortunately. Sometimes really simple is what you want, but that was just a little too complicated, a simple Phil. I mean, Pat Boone, Debbie Boone might have worked better there. Still not catching the break. Alright, I'm on the stack now. Now that stack is a Paiste 16-inch signature thin china. Used to be my favorite china until I killed it. I had to put rivets in it to give it some life. And it's got my 11-inch Paiste Noiseworks Splash, which was designed to be stacked, by the way. The other stack is a 16-inch Paiste Traditional extra thin crash over my 17-inch Paiste signature thin crash with the Ozone holes in it, customized.
I've been spending way too long checking my tongue in the mirror and bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath
This is one of my better rim ones.
And so I drew a new face and I laughed. I guess what I'll be saying is there ain't no better reason to rid yourself of vanities and just go with the seasons. It's
But adding
what
that
we
stack really
aim
wasn't
to
what I wanted to do.
Our name is our virtue, but I won't hesitate.
Still hitting cymbals in this section.
No more, it cannot wait. I'm yours. Well, open up your mind.
Now the snare drum, let's talk about the snare drum for a second. I'm using a Steve Jordan signature 6.5 by 13 snare drum. This is one of the funkiest snare drums. I can tune it up really high and get a real pop out of it. But I found that the best place is when that lug that I'm smacking all the time detunes and it just goes into this floppy, thick sound. And believe it or not, a lot of times in church I used to play it, and by the end of the set, when we got to the ballads, I was down to this because I was smacking that lug all the time because it was right in the spot where I hit, and the lug detuned itself. So, and I had that fat snare drum. So that's what I went with here. I thought it was right for this track. Now, take 5. I almost nailed take 5. This was the take before my final take that I used. This is what I decided was the way to go with the intro.
You bet I felt it. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my best. This and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some,
double stack
learn
this.
some, but I won't hesitate.
Backbeat in here,
More, no
where the bass comes in.
It cannot wait. I'm yours.
Little rolly fill there.
Open up your plans and damn, you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find love, 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 and love. Listen to the music of the moment, people dance and sing. We're just one big family, and it's our God-forsaken right to be loved, love, 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 love. So I won't.
All right, that's the best open yet. I didn't kind of get stuck in it. By the 5th take, I finally knew where that was. For some reason, it took 5 takes.
There's no need to complicate. Our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. Do you? But do you want to come on? Scooch on over closer, dear. And I will nibble your ear.
I think it was just a little bit too much. That's why I didn't dig that.
I've been spending way too long checking my tongue in the mirror and bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath fogged up the glass, and so I drew a new face and I laughed. I guess what I'll be saying is there ain't no better reason to rid yourself of vanities and just go with the seasons. It's what we aim to do. Our name is our virtue, but I won't hesitate no more.
Still too much stuff here.
It cannot wait. I'm yours. Well, open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find that the sky is yours. So please don't, please don't, please don't. There's no need to complicate, 'cause our time is short.
I just screwed up the beginning of that part. All right, one more take.
I don't know why. One more.
Starting to think I should know it, right? And this ended up being the take.
Well, you done me and you bet I felt it. I tried to beat you, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention.
Now, if I really look at it, there's always something I could fix, and there's always something that could have done differently. And I think many of you guys like to spend a lot of time on these things to get them perfect. But, you know, in the real world, when you start playing real gigs with people, what you played is what you played. And if nothing else, if you take nothing else from this little drum talk here, take the fact that for the most part, I could have probably got away with any of these takes if I wanted to. Okay? And truthfully, if I was on a gig playing it live, I probably would have played it really simple and probably threw very little of the fill stuff in and just kept the pocket. Because at the end of the day, it's about the pocket. And when you're in the pocket, that's what people pay you for. You can play as many fills as you want, but it is about the pocket. And the pocket on this song, it's got a little lilt to it, it's a little swing to it, it's a little kind of reggae implied to it, a little upbeat thing to it. And the ability to play in that pocket and just lay it in there is what it's all about. And by this last take, I was laying it in here. Wasn't goofing around too much here, just laying it in. And this is probably the truth how I would have played this song out live. This kind of reminds me like of a carnival thing. Yeah, it's the most solid of the bunch.
I've been spending way too long checking my tongue in the mirror and bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath fogged up the glass, and so I drew a new face and I laughed.
Nice rim thing. This is the most solid track, no doubt about it. I'm just sitting here watching it, really thinking about it. It's really, this is why it's the one I use.
Our name is our virtue, but I won't.
I even backed off here, even though I wanted to. I really wanted to hit that cymbal, but I didn't. I knew it was wrong.
Cannot wait. I'm yours.
Simple fill. Simple, classic, dum fill. Yep. This is the one I played with the groove. Had to bring that little thing back, but you know, I always wonder if triplets work in this music, but truthfully, this is a triplet-y vibe, so that one worked. And here comes the ending.
Crazy song, right?
It was a crazy song, but I had a lot of fun with it. I hope you enjoyed this drum talk. Bye.